A tin hut? All right, at ease. If you couldn't tell by my flawless military lingo, we are watching a war movie today, but not just any war movie, the 1998 Joe Dante movie that I have watched so many times I literally destroyed the VHS tape. I am talking about Small Soldiers. On the surface, it is a Toy Story kind of horror film, but underneath it, it is a statement about politics, merchandising, and our culture's thirst for violence. So let's get into it, because this is Redeye Reviews. Okay, before we talk about this movie's deeper meaning and why I love it as much as I do, we will do a full plot synopsis. No timestamp provided because, it's 23 years old. If you haven't seen it yet, you probably didn't plan on seeing it anyways. Top defense contractor Global Tech Industries purchases a toy company called Heartland Toy Company. Our two lead designers, Larry Benson and Erwin Wayfair, have a meeting with Global Tech's CEO, Gil Mars, to create toys that will actually play back with the child. The Commando Elite, who are badass soldiers with guns, and the Gorgonites, who are peaceful aliens who, sort of like E.T., just want to go home to Gorgon. However, Gil Mars has decided these two factions should be at war, because kids love violence. The duo are only given 3 months to design and manufacture these toys, so Larry forgoes safety inspections and uses Erwin's password to purchase X1000 microprocessors from Global Tech to get these toys to interact with kids easily. We cut to Alan Abernathy. He works at a toy store ran by his father. While getting some toys from his friend Joe, they see the new Global Tech toys and decide to see what is inside these boxes. After seeing how cool the toys are, Alan convinces Joe to give him a set of these toys, and he will sell them without his father knowing, so that the store can actually make a little profit for once. Enter Christy Fimple. She and her brother see these new toys and ask to purchase a couple of them. Alan is so head over heels for her, he quickly agrees, and she says she will return the following day with some money for the toys. However, when Alan gets home, he discovers the toy Archer has found its way into his backpack somehow. He also learns that Archer is sentient and capable of thinking and acting for himself. Meanwhile, Chip Hazard wakes up and activates all of his fellow soldiers, their mission to search for and destroy the Gorgonite scum. When Alan opens the store the next day, he discovers the store is destroyed and the toys are missing, so he calls Global Tech to complain and leaves a voicemail. Larry and Erwin listen to this voicemail, and Erwin realizes that Larry put very powerful chips in these toys.
You put munitions chips in toys?
They learn that these microprocessors have AI and will actually learn over time, enhancing whatever the primary function is, so in this case, to hunt the Gorgonites. The Commando Elite pursues Alan to his home so they can interrogate and kill Archer and find the rest of the Gorgonites.
You gotta help us find Goron. Goron? It's Gorgon, moron.
Alan rescues Archer and gets hurt in the process, but manages to badly damage poor little Nick Nitro in the process. His parents come downstairs, and while failing to explain what happens, they brush him off as maybe speaking crazy and get upset thinking he could be on drugs or something. Who knows? That's what kids did in the 90s, right? Alan and Archer realize that if the Commandos are still looking for them, it must mean the rest of the Gorgonites are still alive. They go and check the dumpster, and they find the remainder of their friendly aliens. The Commando Elite tap Alan's phone and learn that he is in love with Christy, so they use the dead Nick Nitro's chip to build a freaky little Frankenstein lab and bring a bunch of Christy's Gwendy dolls to life to become additional soldiers. Christy gets home and gets captured to be used as bait to draw Alan and the Gorgonites out of hiding. While setting up a distraction, Alan and Archer sneak into the Fimples' house and do rescue Christy. The Commando Elite realize what has happened and pursue the couple using these improvised, kind of awesome little Mad Max-style vehicles. During the chase, the Commandos do crash and all but Chip Hazard are destroyed. When home, they see both sets of parents yelling at each other over the Alan and Christy incident, and during this argument, Larry and Erwin arrive and discover these toys are alive, and now everyone officially believes what is actually happening is happening. However, during this time, Chip Hazard has kidnapped poor Joe, the truck driver, and has gotten his hands on a ton more allies for his way. They convene out front of Alan's house and begin their assault.
Everything else is just a toy.
Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want.
Our toy nerds figure out that a large EMP blast would wipe these chips out and destroy these toys. So Alan heads out to force the power line transformers to explode, and hopefully these wipes the toys out, but sadly it would also mean destroying the Gorgonites in the process. A bunch more fighting happens, the Gorgonites finally joining in the battle as well. Chip and Archer get in a big fight on top of the power pole, and while Archer ultimately gets defeated, Alan then uses Chip himself to connect these transformers and explode the power lines, defeating all the toys. The next day, Mohr shows up and literally prints enough money to make all the problems go away, and to try to sweep all this under the rug. Alan flips over the satellite dish to learn the Gorgonites have survived, and use the dish to protect themselves from the EMP blast. Our movie ends with Alan bringing the Gorgonites to Yosemite National Park so they can go and discover their home of Gorgon, or maybe something close to. And that's the end of the movie. So, at the time of release, many actually considered this movie a flop, because it kind of felt like it was marketed for kids, but it had the horror and violence to give it a PG-13 rating. Some others felt the entire movie was maybe a marketing ploy for an upcoming toy line. Others felt it was supposed to be like an action movie for teenagers, but was weighed down by all this childlike Disney-esque elements. And to this I say, yeah, they are all correct. But it is all intentional. Almost every single Joe Dante movie either falls victim to poor marketing, like with Looney Tunes Back in Action, go watch that video for more understanding there, or just gets generally misunderstood. Because on the surface, this movie's about toys fighting each other. Sure, that's simple enough. But underneath it, it is how violence is sold to the public. How we romanticize war and death and destruction because it is marketable. It's funny to me that whenever a director makes a war movie, and they make it gory and raw and brutal, like Saving Private Ryan, they always state its purpose is to make people think twice about war. Even Spielberg himself says that every war movie is really an anti-war movie, meaning it's designed to deter people away from the idea of war and violence and wanting to become soldiers. But all these movies tend to contradict themselves, because the reason people watch movies like Saving Private Ryan, and the reason they sell so well, is the violence. Yes, there's a heartfelt story about saving a person in harm's way and bringing him back to his mother, but we don't watch it for that. We watch it for the war and the violence and these bigger-than-life scenes. And that is one of the best qualities about this film, Small Soldiers, because Joe Dante opposes this opinion and makes a film where the violence in war looks ridiculous. Shooting corncob holders at people, attaching screws to their arms, and at first you see it and think, I mean, that's silly and cute and whatever, but then you think about it twice, and all of these can be serious weapons and cause serious damage and death. Even in this movie, they show its self-awareness by saying this.
Don't you think that's a bit violent?
Exactly. So don't call it violence. Call it action. Kids love action.
And that really should speak volumes to you, because this movie clearly knows what it is doing. The Commando Elite are even voiced by a majority portion of the original Dirty Dozen and Tommy Lee Jones. So they have people who have played soldiers before do the voices of these soldier toys. So to call light to how profitable war is in our society, and to make a movie about literally merchandising war and bringing it into the home, shoving war in our faces, and not just our movies and shows, but blatantly targeting it at children to get it into the homes themselves. I think this is a very powerful statement that Dante makes. There's even a scene where the Fimples are watching TV, and the dad says,
I think World War II was my favorite war.
And if that line doesn't convince you that this movie is a self-aware, satirical statement, I don't really know what will. A good movie to compare this to in terms of its message, I think, is Jurassic Park. A science experiment gone wrong, the tension between politics and merchandising. Jurassic Park is also a statement about exploiting nature for profit, but then turn around and created thousands of pieces of merchandising. In the movie itself with their gift shops and stuff, but also in the real world as well, putting that Jurassic Park logo on pretty much everything they can get their hands on. Small Soldiers took a similar approach in its format. There's even a promo in the VHS box that sells the total experience, which comes with soundtracks and video games and action toys with names like buzzsaw tanks and assault vehicles, all ironically put to the song War. And doesn't it also seem a little strange to you that while our hero is obviously Archer and the Gorgonites, they hardly appear in any of the marketing promotions? It is all about the soldiers, and Chip, and action, and explosions. Next to nothing about our gentle little monsters. And that is again because war sells. That's what Dante was trying to say with this film. At the very end of the movie, when Dennis Leary is talking about the incident, he even talks about this toy division will be used to create a weapons wing for his company, sending these toys to war-torn countries to be used as actual weapons. It's a subtle line and mostly overlooked, I would say, but it really drives home the point. And do you want to know the most ironic part of this entire story? The toy line and merchandising that came from this movie outperformed the movie sales itself. Let's repeat that. This self-aware movie about merchandising and selling war to the public sold more merchandise that glorified war than the movie about it. And do you want to know what toys sold the most? Would you think it's our hero Archer? Because it's not. It was Chip Hazard, the bad guy. Yeah, the villain. this chiseled chin military soldier. Now tell me there isn't a better example of pure irony. I would like to point out the merchandising was not backed by Joe Dante. He even fought against that, but this is a Spielberg DreamWorks picture, and we all know how much they care about merchandising. I can only hope that they saw the irony as they racked in the profit from this film. Speaking of Spielberg, the puppetry in this movie was actually done by the same crew that built and operated the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. John Rosengrant, the co-founder of Legacy Effects, which is the effects group behind these puppets, said in one interview, quote, "In one sense, smaller was easier because we put all of our puppets in a suitcase and we can carry them to set, but what made it hard was getting puppets that small mechanized and moving correctly." End quote. I honestly would say they do a fantastic job with the puppets, and they're clearly the star of this movie. Without good puppets, this movie, I don't think would look nearly as good as it does. And even in today's standards, I think it holds up pretty well. So with all of this being said, I will give this movie a 9 out of 10. I'm a little biased, but I love it. I mean, obviously I love it. And I know some of you will argue that the points I made are maybe overthinking it, or that it really is just a movie about toys fighting each other. But I would argue you take another watch of this movie with the glasses I just provided you, and just see it for yourself. Hey, I could have made the argument that this movie is about a bunch of primarily white soldiers trying to find and kill things solely because they are aliens and look different from them. But I didn't do that. I didn't go there. You know, that's low-hanging fruit. I'm not about that. So with all of that, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support you guys have given to the channel lately. I love all the comments, so keep all that coming. If you're not a subscriber, I recommend you do so. I put a lot of effort in. You'll get 3 videos a week, and I do truly believe this channel will go to great places. So thank you so much. Hit the like button, hit the bell, do all the fun stuff. We will see you next time, and until that moment, stay happy and stay healthy.